Is this thing on?
All right, let's get this show on the road.
Okay.
Oh, I'm to join the Coffee and Carving podcast, episode number 26. Oh my goodness. Wow. Now turn in your hymnal to hymn number
26.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good. 26.
Thank you. Thank you.
I gotta say, I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited for what I'm about to do to you.
Okay.
So there was a
Why am I laughing? I don't even know what it is.
I don't know. So oh my goodness, this is going to be good. So there was this man in Bulgaria who drove trains for a living. He loved his job. Driving a train had been his dream ever since he was a child. He loved to make the train go as fast as possible. Unfortunately, one day he was a little too reckless and caused a crash. He made it out, but a single person had died. Well, needless to say, he went to court over this incident, and he was found guilty and was sentenced to death by electrocution. When the day of the execution came, he requested a single banana as his last meal. After eating the banana, he was strapped into the electric chair. The switch was flown. Sparks flew. Smoke filled the air, but nothing happened. The man was perfectly fine. Well, at the time, there was an old Bulgarian law that said a failed execution was a sign of divine intervention, so the man was allowed to go free. Somehow, he managed to get his old job back driving the train. Having not learned his lesson at all, he went right back to driving the train with reckless abandon. Once again, he caused the train to crash, this time killing 2 people. The trial went much the same as the first, resulting in a sentence of execution. For his final meal, the man requested 2 bananas. After eating the bananas, he was strapped into the electric chair. The switch was thrown. Sparks flew. Smoke filled the room, but the man once again was unharmed. Well, this, of course, meant that he was allowed to go free. And once again, he somehow managed to get his old job back. To what should have been the surprise to no one, he crashed yet another train, and this time killing 3 people. And so he once again found himself being sentenced to death. On the day of his execution, he requested his final meal. You know what that is?
3 bananas, right? It has to
3 bananas.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? No, said the executioner. I've had it with you and your stupid bananas and walking out of here unharmed. I'm not giving you a thing to eat. We're strapping you in and doing this now. Well, it was against protocol, but the man was strapped into the electric chair without a last meal. The switch was pulled. Sparks flew. Smoke filled the room, and the man was still unharmed. The executioner was speechless. The man then looked at the executioner and said, "Oh, don't worry. The bananas had nothing to do with it. I'm just a bad conductor."
Oh.
Oh, man.
That was a serious. That was just a bad conductor.
How do you like that? How do you like them bananas?
That was, man, that really special. Really special.
It's very, very reminiscent of a long Norm Macdonald joke.
Exactly what I was thinking.
You see, I think the thing was it threw you off because you're thinking about the bananas.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just a diversion.
That was pretty.
So.
That was the most advanced of the ones we've had so far.
No more knock jokes here.
Yeah.
This is quality entertainment now.
That's right. We have standards, folks. Okay. Oh, he's got Canada Dry.
I'm drinking Canada Dry ginger ale. What do you got going on? Anything?
I've got stale coffee, old coffee that's cold.
Yum. Well, that said, our coffee hero of the week is Peter.
Oh,
Thanks, Peter, for hitting that buy us a coffee button.
yeah.
You've just given Alex some nice, cold, disgusting coffee. Just kidding. We appreciate all those who buy us a coffee each week. But anyway, blah, blah, blah. What have you been up to?
Well, this week I got a call from my girlfriend saying that she threw up. And I was immediately thinking, oh no, anytime anyone gets sick now, you think, hopefully it's not COVID. But what's odd is my dad, my good buddy who's over our house, my friend Gabe, and Annalise, all within a few days of each other, have thrown up. And the weirdest part is they're only sick for one day. So I don't know what's going around right now, but I too, about 2 days ago, had some really serious stomach pain that went away within hours. So anyway, so I'm usually ultra paranoid about getting sick, but I decided to go see her anyway. And she seemed pretty fine. It was just a day after she had thrown up. So we spent time together, and that's a big deal for me again, because I'm germ phobic. I can't stand germs.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. So that's
I was going to ask if they were sick just when you were around them, or or if you had been looking in the mirror. If all the people in your life throw up when you come near them, then it's not them, it's you.
How dare you? You know what? I wasn't present for one of them, so the other four. So maybe there is something. Anyway, all I know is that I haven't thrown up yet, and who knows? I guess it remains to be seen. I probably will throw up during the podcast at that rate for saying that. But yeah, it's been pretty chill around here. I've been mostly preparing for a series of classes, and I'm excited to meet up with a few friends in Springfield for John Engler's woodcarving seminar. He has a big event that he does there. I think it's called Carving in the Ozarks or something along those lines. And I'm going to be teaching on carving a face, full face, no beard, no mustache, nothing, just everything exposed. And I'll also be teaching a couple other classes while I'm down there in the area. And so just been drawing references, getting my car packed, just trying to get myself in order, ready for the big trip. 2 weeks, then I'm home for a few days and back out again. So basically it. I've also carved, I think I mentioned maybe that I carved a Bigfoot. I think you mentioned it, Harry and the Henderson.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah.
But I figured, I feel like I'm not showing anything, so I figured I'd show you how goofy my Harry and the Hendersons is.
That is so goofy. I love it. Now, here's the thing. I watched the video in your school.
Oh, yeah. You told me this.
But what was amazing to me is, again, hold that up again.
Yeah.
Because I'm always shocked at the size of your carvings.
Yeah, it's tiny.
They're so tiny.
Yeah.
I can never really grasp the size. And then I hold up my carvings, like mine are always just ginormous, but
yeah.
That's great.
I don't do a lot of big carvings, but I'm in bark occasionally, but no, I like doing the smaller ones. I've been doing a lot of these, like these little like quick. I talked about the warm-up carvings, but I just love doing these little like these quick like hour, 2 hours. Sometimes it takes to really get them. Like this one, it's probably taken me a few hours or so. I don't know, because just to get all the details.
I love those.
Yeah, I love doing these though. It's so much fun. I found a nice beetle on the back of this one.
Hey, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Those side profiles.
Yeah.
Have you ever carved a full face and then ripped it in half on the bandsaw? Yes. Yeah, you have.
Yeah.
I thought I was being a genius just now.
Yeah, I have, and it looked a little. I tried to carve it so it was thicker. So when I cut it would account for the blade, but it didn't. It just kind of felt. Even then, it was just too thin. It was too close to the edge.
Yeah, yeah.
I probably should have made it even wider so that when I cut it, accounting for that blade. But my Asian friend, he came over and I was carving just a white dude. And he said, why don't you carve any Asian people? And I looked at him and I said, I'm carving one right now. So I started looking at his face and looking at pictures. And so I turned a white man into, maybe not Asian yet, but he's getting there, getting close.
Okay, not to get you in trouble or anything, but like what stereotypically is the factors that would turn someone Asian from like
right.
how to?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, it's the easy answer is of course the eyes, but it's not just the eyes. There's so much more, right? There's usually a little bit more of a hood going over the eyelid, but then there's also, I'll say at least in regard to my buddy, a forehead that's flatter. So his eyes, in relationship to his nose bridge and his forehead, his eyes are further out. They come closer to the surface of the highest part of his brow ridge and his nasal bridge. And so that was the biggest thing. If you look at this carving, sorry for the visual, for the people listening, but the eyes are pretty close to the surface right there with the bridge of the nose and the forehead. So that was at least a distinguishing factor on Gabe. And the nose was also, Gabe is Taiwanese, and he has more of that, like, I guess there are two kind of groups of in Taiwan. I think there's more like more Filipino Taiwanese, and then there's the more, like the traditional, like, lived in Taiwan for thousands of years Taiwanese, and he is that. And so he has a very flat nose. It doesn't come off of his face very far. I mean, it's literally like, if you look at our faces, they're the total opposite. Like my eyes are set in my head. I have my nose projects a whole lot,
It does.
And the angle, and the angle of my face from here, from my brow ridge, what am I trying to say right now? Down to the base of my face, there's a real big angle here. Like if you were to look up, and everything on his face is a lot more forward. Like this part of his face is up here. Anyway, it's a lot flatter is what I'm trying to say.
Why is it? I don't know. You don't have a problem with it, like, but why does it feel wrong to highlight differences in races in today's world where everything has to be politically correct? And I don't see color, but doesn't it feel kind of dirty? Like,
well, I take it. I think maybe, yeah. I think when he was in the room, I was like, yeah, I was just noticing things and I was carving, and he would ask questions, the same things you're asking, like, what is it that makes an Asian face? And I just started looking at his face and breaking it down. And okay, your forehead comes back a little further. It's a little bit flatter. And I mean, yeah, it was really a fascinating thing to me because, Gabe is he's got a really nice looking, he's an attractive looking face. He's a good looking guy, but it's completely different than the average,
for sure.
Prominent brow ridge, that really, defined distant bridge coming away from the eyes and the face. And it was neat actually just to see, like, how much you just take for granted, the differences in an Asian face and just a German dude, and so, yeah, but yeah, I guess maybe there is something culturally there. I don't know.
It's just funny because everyone's so afraid to say anything. I was watching this UFC commentary.
Yeah.
And when they're talking about the fighters, they're saying, wearing the black trunks is so-and-so and wearing the yellow trunks is so-and-so. And the commentator looked at each other and they said, well, can we not just say the black man is this? And they went to the shorts. So one guy's black, one guy's white, but they had to say the color of the shorts because they didn't want to say he was a black guy and a white guy.
Right.
It just feels so funny now.
Like, it is. Yeah. Like even sometimes there's a touchiness where, like it used to be, I remember growing up, you'd say African-American, and now it's back to, you say black, you don't say African-American. Yeah. And so when I go to say, oh yeah, my friend Carnell is black, I think, oh wait, did I say that right? And so you have to give it a second thought. But the reality is, man, it's just a difference in ethnicity. I mean, I think the whole race.
Oh no, it's just this political correctness that everyone's so afraid to say. But obvious is obvious, right? Like,
I mean, you would, if you describe me, you just say the Greek-looking guy with the big nose. And I wouldn't be offended. I mean, I would actually if you said that, but for different reasons.
Write that down. I'll stop saying that very soon. But
So
anyway, no, that's fun.
yeah,
It's fun because even like the men and women have differences too, even just in the foreheads, right?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah, well, women are the same way. A lot of times the head from the brow where the hair is on your eyebrow to the top of your head where your hairline is, that's usually flatter on a woman. If you look at a lot of women's faces, there's not this angle and this jutting out where the brow ridge comes out ahead of, whereas if you look at, my face, it's like it's a pretty steep angle, So
I always even when I was doing trim work and woodworking and stuff, everywhere you go, you start looking at the trim, because that's what you do, right? Yeah. And now I'm always looking around, looking at people's faces and looking at their heads, and then I'm staring at people and you're like, what are you looking at? Like, oh, your bone structure above your eyes. I never really imagined there'd be such a lump there,
Yeah.
And
dude, I went through a cursed time where I would see people's faces and I would think of ways to carve them up and change it. And, I could do this to that. And it was like, and as soon as I thought that, I'd try to shake it like, oh, what is going on? I can't, it would roast me out, But
Sophie gets mad at me when I'm looking at her going, oh, so that's what the hood of the eye. Okay. The bags. It's just stop it. I put cream on that. No,
you're on thin ice.
I don't mean nothing by it. I'm just pointing out the obvious. But
right. Exactly.
Anyway.
So
we totally got sidetracked there, but anything else you've been up to?
I mean, really, it's just I've been slowing down a little bit on the daily carves just to get ready for this workshop, but I've just been dreaming about this chair. I got a new chair in the shop that's an old chair. I bought it when I was 16 or 17, a 16 or 17-year-old buying a chair. Boy, it seems like a weird, right? Just a dude walking into a store buying a chair, but it was on clearance and it's so comfy. And all I do now all day is I dream about sitting in this chair and reading, and I've had zero chance to sit in it yet. So I'm excited to be in this chair right now.
Well, where was it?
It was at my parents' house in their
basement. Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I saw it there and I said, hey, that's my chair. And they said, yeah, you can have it back. And so I brought the old green one that if you see in the other podcasts. Anyway, your life is fun when all you got to talk about is a chair.
Well, let me tell you about my first furniture purchase as a teenager.
Yeah.
Back in my day was the craze of waterbeds.
No.
And everybody had to have a waterbed. All my friends had waterbeds, heated waterbeds, and you could get like full motion or calmer. Like you could get, depending on, I don't even know how they made them different, but regardless. So when I was about 18, I was working full time, and I went into the city and I went to this place, Wacky Waterbeds, and I laid down like $900 on this waterbed, and had to order it. It was going to be in like 2 or 3 weeks, and called them up 2 weeks later, no answer. Drove to the store, empty.
What?
Yeah, I bought a waterbed and full bedding, and they knew. They took my money. I worked so hard saving my money. They took my money, and they knew they were going to go bankrupt and move out, and the store was gone.
Wow, you never got your bed?
Never got nothing.
That's terrible. You remember the name of the business so we can talk badly about it?
Wacky Waterbeds.
Wacky Waterbeds. Well, they were destined to fail.
Well,
can I ask you, have you ever been? My parents used to have a waterbed, and I couldn't decide. I mean, like, I always liked it as a kid, but I can't imagine as an adult laying down in a pool of water. And doesn't that seem weird?
I wouldn't want one now. Like I said, there was some way you could buy, I don't know if it's the level that you fill them or the way that they're made, if there's baffles or chambers or whatever, because you could get some that were firmer. But the only redeeming thing they had was the heater. Crawling into a heated waterbed, like that was cool. That was it. But anyway, 'twas not to be. I still ended up getting a different one later on
Can you
in
still?
my life.
Oh, you did.
Yep. But that only lasted it for a couple of years. I got rid of it. I think when my wife got pregnant, it was so uncomfortable.
Huh.
So that was the end of the. Anyway, that's a thing of the past. I don't think you could buy one for any money now. That was just a little fad.
I've never seen a waterbed in a mattress store. I'm reading online. It says here waterbeds became especially popular in the 1980s, with 1 in 5 Americans owning one. By the time the 90s rolled around, waterbeds had fallen out of popularity because of
There you go. That's exact time frame. Yep.
Wow. The waterbed can still be found today, mostly online.
Wow.
There you go.
So this is good stuff. This is good stuff.
Yeah. To be proud of
Tell
this.
me more about the history of the waterbed.
Yeah. But that's the kind of stuff that like keeps me like occupied. Like, you know, when I'm not working, like I would just go down a waterbed trail. a popped waterbed trail. Anyway. So yeah, what about you, man?
Well, it's been a good week. It's been a great week. I had I highlighted my eggplant last week, Bruce Ankeny.
Yeah.
And I only carved it, but I got him all painted up and finished.
I love that.
My little eggplant.
That's awesome.
But I did another carving. Went back to this is going to tie in with the very end of the show, so I'll just show you what I carved. Just a little man, little flat plane looking fella here.
Really nice. Yeah, nice clean cuts on that.
And then a new painting technique too. It's kind of fun. But I also did a bark carving.
Yeah.
And I thought I almost destroyed it. So I did one of these little not side profile, but looking to the side. But look at the size of that. Remember, your little Sasquatch head.
Oh yeah.
All my carvings are always this big, and you guys look cute little. That's so cute. Like I want that now. But anyway, I thought, okay, there you go. He's better looking.
Hey.
I thought I would try something different. I had them all carved up, and just to be different, I thought I would like to age the wood. So I have this product. I got it right here. It's called Eco Wood Treatment, and basically what this is it's a powder. It mixes into like a gallon of water, and say you board and batten your house with pine. You spray this on there, and it'll turn it gray, but it also is a preservative. So it's a one-time application. Your house or your wood or your birdhouse or whatever, it immediately becomes the gray, aged look, like the sun bleached look. And I thought that'd be really cool to try carving on. So I did that, and horrified.
Really?
I was horrified with the results.
Why?
It just looked like it was like a painted with a gray milk.
Oh, like too monotone, like all the same kind of.
Yeah, like when I picture the aging, like I still want to see the cracks, and
Yeah.
it just looked like it was painted with gray milk, and it was really blah.
Yeah.
So I didn't know what to do. So the next day I woke up and it didn't get any better. So then I took it out and I torched it with my little plumber's torch, and then I sanded it so there's no remnant of gray left on it.
Yeah.
And that's how I got that look, just with the burning. And I love it. I love it now, but I'm fighting the urge to put a protector on it.
Oh, clear coat?
Anything, oil or clear coat or anything, because I think it might take away from it.
Well, on that topic, we've never talked about finishes, like wood finish.
Well, let's put a pin in it and we'll talk about it, because I got one more. I wrote down what I did this weekend.
Yeah.
Because did you have a taste of spring weather on the weekend?
Man, just enough to get me wearing my t-shirt, and then the next day, bam, right back to the cold.
Oh, it's a snowstorm today.
Yeah.
Actually, we had rain turn to hail, turn to snow.
Yep.
All in today. But yesterday we had the warmest day. It was fantastic, except for the fact that the wind gusts from 80 to 90 kilometers an hour, which was crazy. But we got up and I thought, what better thing to do today than let's go to the beach? Nice warm day.
Really?
Yeah. So we went to the beach. If you were following my Instagram stories, you would see that it was fantastic. I was so happy I went because there was just a layer of crushed ice on top of the water, and the waves with that wind, it was crashing and throwing bits of ice over on these banks. And we were walking on these banks and getting hit with pieces of little ice. And it was just a great day.
Sounds scary. You like getting hit by small pieces of ice?
It was just the cool factor. I took all kinds of little videos that I don't know what I'll ever do with, but
yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So, but regardless, there was enough beach there that I picked up a couple pieces of driftwood that I may tackle and do some carving. And of course, Sophie, I always say my wife, and I like it too. For some reason, we could, with our crazy brains, for some reason, we could sit on top of a pile of stones and just look for little we call sea glass, like softened glass.
Yep.
That's like it's been in a rock tumbler, and we've got jars of it, and it's just something we do, and we just sit there and just pick through. It's just so much fun. But anyway, great day. Got on the beach in March. So
wow.
Yeah. But what else that we did together? We made a promo video trying to get some more traction on this podcast, and we made videos and put them out on our individual YouTube channels. So hopefully, if you're a new listener, welcome. And if you like it, share it with your friends, and let's get some momentum going. But anyway, my little promo video on my channel is probably the least viewed video in the history of my channel. They just saw we have a podcast and said, no, not interested. But regardless, we picked up some new listeners, so we're happy for that.
Yeah, welcome
all. So that's about. I can't think of anything much else, but you want to talk about some finishes. So, like I said on this one, I'm all over the board all the time. Every bark, especially with the bark, I never know what direction I'm going to go. And sometimes I'm so happy with the carving, and then I put the finish on it, and then I'm sad. Because sometimes the bark has such grain to it. Yep. Sometimes it looks better just with a light sanding. And all of a sudden, all the details, all the hair, all the wrinkles that you've carved, and the sanding just kind of highlights perfectly. Yep. Then I'll put an oil on it. Oil will suck in. Yeah. And then everything blends with the grain, and nothing is highlighted anymore. So I've been trying different things, and I do paint them too. Yep. And antique them, paint them. Yep. I'll never try to antique them with that antiquing solution again. But yeah. What do you put on yours? Because I know you've done the burning trick before.
Yeah, well, I talked back in episode, what is it, 19 or 20, maybe a little sooner than that, but more recent than that. But I did this giant sign, and 4 by 6 foot, and I burned the whole thing. And that's a way of protecting it, sealing it, but it also kind of looks neat. It takes the grain and makes it the harder grain kind of stays intact, and the softer winter or the summer, spring growth rings, they kind of recede a little bit if you brush it. And so I just kind of got a little bit of that like grain effect. And so that's one way of going. It's just burning with a torch. You can use you could just use a regular, not a propane torch, but what acetylene torch, what do they call it?
Well, acetylene torch, you blow your work to pieces. You just blast.
A welding torch. I'm sorry.
No, I just use the plumber's propane setup.
Oh, it is propane. Okay.
Yeah.
But don't take your welding acetylene torch and
don't do it. You'll blow a hole in it so fast.
I use my TIG welder
You don't.
Yeah, I use my TIG welder to burn. I'll run a bead right across. I cover the whole thing in beads, And that's one way of doing it. So,
Tell me more.
well, when I'm done, I throw it in the trash. Anyway,
Do you know what a TIG welder is?
yeah, I know MIG, I know TIG, I know jig,
Oh,
big, rig.
but that's what's the Japanese name for that? Sugiban or Sugibon, or we shouldn't even try Sugibon.
Yeah.
Sugibon. That's the old way of even setting fence posts too.
Yeah.
When you put a fence post in the dirt, yeah.
Right.
Nowadays they just kind of dip them in creosote or use motor oil.
Yeah.
Back in the day, that was a thing.
Well, that
was
better, really.
Well, I was telling you, Sean James, he's done his basement now like that, but he also did his roof on his last cabin.
His basement? What do you mean his basement? Like
I shouldn't say. I think he still used some kind of a treatment, but he did that just for the preservation of it. Yeah, yeah, because it's a wood basement. I think he still put a barrier on it.
Okay,
but just in general,
yeah. Interesting.
But I was gonna go ahead.
You first.
Well, no, you're saying finishes for the bark, so we'll keep talking about bark.
Yeah.
But do you use wax or oil or anything like that, or feed and wax?
Yeah, I've kind of returned to. I've mentioned it, I think, before. The shoe cream. It's backwards. It's Terrago.
That's right.
It's expensive, but it's really mild, and you almost can't tell. I'll show you the difference. You almost can't tell. How about that? You can't even tell the difference.
Can't tell the difference.
But guess which one's clear coated? Which one is it?
Oh, I think that's great. I like that idea.
Yeah. So that's the shoe cream is the one on one side, and for those listening, it's not much different. It's very matte. It offers a little protection though. It still kind of has a waxy feel. It's not as much protection as like a clear coat, but some hardening finish, surface hardening finish. But
I like the idea of having something on it, because even the bear, like you put your greasy nose on there, you're gonna have a little oil mark on that nice wood.
Yeah.
Right, or little dirty fingers.
Yeah.
Sorry for the audio listeners, but Alec is making a fool of himself.
Well, no one watches this, so it's good that it's just you and I here.
I'm kind of turned off of I used to use the Minwax paste wax, and I don't know what happened to my wax, but the last time I tried to do it, it was almost like grainy sand, or I don't think it was cold. Maybe it's old, but I really, really had to work it and use it, and I wasn't happy with it. So, but on the other hand, other times I've used oils, even the feed and wax, and again, they don't coat, they penetrate, and that darkens it. And I'm working with a dark bark already, so my faces get really dark when the oil soaks in. So I like that shoe cream.
Yeah. Again, it's expensive, but I think it was $15 or $20 for this little tiny.
Wow.
But I still do use a clear coat on carvings where that's requested. A lot of times people will request a clear coat. I use a lacquer, but more and more I've turned to just like poly, matte or semi or satin. Poly works fine.
Yeah, I have that too.
Yeah. Yeah. So
the only thing is, I always pictured when I went and bought I bought like 2 or 3 cans to spray, and I thought, you're getting this acrylic that it wouldn't smell. It smells.
Oh yeah,
it smells bad.
Strong.
So
it's really
very strong. So not a in the house spray.
No, and you're right. They do kind of talk about lacquer being stinky, but that stuff is just as bad.
Yeah, I was thinking maybe like a water-based, like latexy smell, but I guess it's acrylic, and they got to have something in it to make it dry faster or something, maybe.
Yep. But I've sold a lot of carvings, a lot of dry bark carvings without clear coat, my younger years, and they'll hold up. They'll discolor though, for sure. I mean, the bark is fairly stable. It doesn't I've never had a carving crack because of, changes in humidity, anything like that. I mean, if you left a carving outside without finish, really quickly, it'll end up cracking within a few months or a couple of months. But otherwise, it's a stable material for the most part. So that helps. It makes it a lot easier knowing that, it's not going to blow up on you. But yeah, you need to put some protection on it if you want it to stay the same color. Yeah. So the clear coat, the satin water-based clear coat, polyurethane is great. Lacquer's good. It's killing brain cells, but I like the lacquers. Yeah.
So that's it. That's what happened.
That's what happens for me. I like the
too much lacquer. Well, I used to. You talked about changing color. So on my little basswood fellas, I used to always coat them with linseed oil.
Yep.
Before I painted them for nice smooth. But what I really enjoyed was not having to paint flesh tone with the oil, because it'd be a natural flesh color with linseed oil. Problem is, down the road, see a guy like this, down the road, they would age and go really yellow, like a yucky yellow. See how that turned yellow?
Yeah.
And that's the aging of the linseed oil.
Yeah.
So I tried something. Well, I'll give Bruce. I know he's not the only one that does that, but Bruce Ankeny, when I did my eggplant, he just wet his wood and painted it wet. Like he sprayed it wet and then painted it wet, and then it worked great. And then I just put the feed wax on it. You're giggling over there.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
So anyway, I did the same thing with this guy, and I'm super pleased with it, and I don't think I have to worry about it yellowing at all.
Yep.
So yeah, that might be my new paint technique for the little basswood guys. What do you use on your big basswood things?
Oh, see, I haven't quite figured out what to do with the big basswood carvings. I still go with the clear coat. I do the Ian Norbury thing where you put it on, and then you have 2 extra brushes with me. You use the towel to wipe it off first, and then you get the rest of the excess off the little crooks and crannies with the brush. And then maybe you have an extra brush, because after, on a big carving, that first dry brush is going to fill up. Then you got to use your second dry brush to get all the excess.
We don't know what you're putting on though.
Any you can use any like water-based or oil-based finish. You can do this technique with. You can do it with a polyurethane. You can do it with a lacquer.
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
You just have to do it really quickly if you're doing lacquer, because lacquer hardens more quickly. So you just put, for instance, like a polyurethane on, and that does the job. Take it off with the towel right away. Because the thing is, you don't want it to, with basswood, you don't want it to look like there's a layer of shiny stuff on there. It looks bad.
Hate shiny.
Yeah.
Yep. Not a fan.
But there's still a lot to be learned from finish. If you look at somebody like Bruno Wolpath, he does a lot of painting, but it's not like the kind of painting that necessarily flatters the carving. It's painting that just shows off the details. Like he'll paint a face white. I'll show you what I'm talking about for those who are watching, but he'll literally just take, some paint, right before he's finished, and then he'll carve off the excess, or just carve off little bits here and there to create this sort of effect of kind of like it looks aged or weathered. And it's really, really cool.
Well, it's not far off from the same idea as doing this either. Because this was totally burnt black.
Yep.
And I removed the wood so there you go.
Yeah.
Yep. But that's a little bit more artsy, like blotchy, like
I'll just leave spots. Let's see if it'll adjust.
That's Ian Norbury, you say?
This is Wolpath.
Oh, Wolpath.
Yeah. So that's kind of fun. Like he will do like the headband or something, or like a token piece. He'll do some color, and he actually has a little bit of neutral pink on her lips too, if you look really closely.
Yeah.
And a little bit on her.
But the audio can't look, so.
Yeah. So on the Bruno work, he does use a tiny touch of skin color on the lips, maybe a little bit of color on the eyes, but mostly it's just you see the wood and then just little touches of it's almost like dry brush paint. So,
But you like that?
yeah, I've tried it once, and it's funny because I brought it to a wood carving competition, and it's just, I mean, it didn't go over well. People thought, oh, it just looks unfinished. And
Yeah.
one person who knew about Bruno came up to me afterwards and said, I knew what you were going for. I knew this was a Bruno. I'm the one that convinced them to place you at all. They were just going to throw this out. And so I don't know. It's not a crowd pleaser, but I kind of think it's fun.
Yeah.
But
Well, I've tried it in the past. I've tried all different things. I also like to use a Clapman's salad bowl finish, which is just a paste wax as well.
That's a good idea.
And again, that with that you can lick it and eat it if you want to chew on your carving. It's food safe.
You ever think about how much carving you've consumed? You ever think about how much dust you've just eaten over the years? I've eaten a lot of dust.
This carving is nothing to my past life in the trim world. Well, I quit trim carpentry when MDF became super popular.
Oh.
Because when I started trim work, it was still everything was mahogany.
Yep.
And then it started going to pines, and then pine became finger jointed pine. Then they brought in some poplar for paint grade. So now we switched from the oak was reserved for fancier houses, really, like the bigger houses, but the knock 'em up houses were mahogany. Then they went to pine and finger joint pine. Some used poplar for a painted trim, but the finger joint started really taking over because all trim became painted from that point on. You rarely have stained trim in your house. And then everything went to MDF, which is just pressed sawdust. Well, when you cut all your miters and all your baseboard and all, there's just a haze of this MDF dust. And we never wore masks. Nobody wore masks back then. And that was you go home and blow your nose and cough it up. And it was just every day, day after day. And like, wow, we're done with this.
Yep.
Horrible stuff. And the trim, the trade itself really kind of went to pot too, because there's no these new trimmers. They couldn't make an oak miter to save their life on a door. They just like caulk it, painter will fix it, and yeah. Anyway, I got out with a good time because that's gross. That's terrible.
No, yeah, it's true. Everything's painted and the work probably goes down.
Yeah, caulking covers a multitude of sins. Yes.
Yeah, but I've never loved the part about carving where you have to get sandpaper out, especially not the burrs. And I've avoided the burrs as much as possible because they are the worst. I mean, you get as far as dust goes. I mean, nothing's worse than stone carving though. The Dremel and the carbide cutting tools just throw this fine dust that wants to turn back into stone chemically. It wants to come back together, and there's a chemical reaction that happens when it mixes with water. It gets hot, and then it wants to bind to itself, and it does that in your freaking body, in your lungs, and your skin, and it's like trying to become a rock in your body.
That sounds like when you used to do drywall, when you take the little the tool to cut out around the light fixtures and electrical boxes, that same gypsum dust.
Yeah, the gypsum.
Yep. Yeah, that's nasty. That's that. You know, the dirtiest job I ever did was back in high school. We used to catch chickens. Now these chickens would be free range on the floor, mind you. They're shoulder to shoulder, but like tens of thousands of chickens. But they'd be on a bed of sawdust. Mm-hmm. So you'd go in at night, and the lights would be super low, and you'd just be in there grabbing them. Of course, they're flapping, but there's like 30,000 birds flapping on the sawdust, and the ammonia. It was a horrible job. But talk about dust, though.
Yikes.
You just got full of it. But that's an aside.
Yeah.
I think it's is it time for what is it time for there, Alec? He's gonna say media. It's mailbag. Mailbag. There, nailed that one.
Stretch it out this way. This way we can never mess it up. We have a couple of doozies here, some good ones. Somebody commented, says that our Spotify is now up as a videos. So Spotify now shows our podcast as a video. If you want to watch on there, you can. You can see.
Is that's a new thing?
Faces. Yeah, it is. It's a new thing because we applied for it a couple of weeks ago, and eventually it happened. So.
Well, it didn't go on immediately, so it's just new. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
I'll have to.
Yeah.
I don't use Spotify. I've never gone on there.
Yeah,
I should.
It's great. It's great. No, I like it. This one's from Brian. It says, "Hello, Alec and Doge. Thank you for sharing your skills, crafts, and passion for carving." He talks about how he got into carving, Doug and Gene, and he's got a topic suggestion asking about settling into the current forms of carving, like for instance, figurines, split logs, flat relief. He says he finds himself trying to push the boundaries of what he knows and what he can learn from each form. But after 18 projects, he feels like he's all over the map. Go through a similar process. And he shows us a few pieces in order to show kind of his progression. And
what's his name?
His name is Brian.
Brian, you and me, we're the same.
Yeah.
I have tried, like, so on the weekend, the International Association of Woodcarvers, the guest on there was saying that how he admires people that they can look at their work and say, "Oh, that's Alec's work," or "That's John's work," or you just see it and you know. For me, I don't have a clue who I am or where I'm going. I dabble in something different every few months, it seems.
Yeah.
And I haven't found my groove yet after 6 years.
Oh, I get it.
I've done chainsaw carving. I've done flat plane. I've done the regular carving. Now I'm doing the bark. Like, where would I think, well, we've talked about this in the past too. And for me, I think I do have to settle. Like, I got to put that chainsaw area out of my life.
Yeah.
The power carving, I don't really have the great interest, but I think for me, I'm going to try. But it's our ADHD brain too, that you just can't stick with something. But I love the bark carving, and that's kind of my favorite thing right now. But people tend not to like watching it on YouTube as much as these little guys. And I like these little guys just as much. So I think I'm going to stick with little guys and bark only. Mm-hmm. But that could change.
Right.
That could change very quickly because I just said I just went and picked up driftwood to carve.
There you go. Yeah.
But yeah, to find your groove, it could be a lifelong process.
Yeah. Or then it would be a lifelong process.
Or process.
Yeah, depending on your nationality.
But I envy people who can really stick to something. Like you're pretty streamlined.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I would say that. Sometimes too streamlined. I like I kind of have a comfort zone that I've stuck to for a long time. And it took people going, "Hey, why don't you carve this?" or "Why don't you carve that?" for me to go, "Yeah, why don't I?" And then I'll just spend, a few weeks just doing only that one thing. But no, lately it's been kind of sticking to a similar kind of format. Usually it's bark, and if it is anything else, it's usually a full size, life size heads, basswood, butternut, cedar, walnut. But mostly those are just passion projects that I noodle on every once in a while. The main thing for me, the bread and butter, is definitely the small faces and bark. That's definitely one of the things I like to do. But I messed with stone carving for a little while. I thought I was doing more stone than wood for, I don't know, a year or two. And I thought I was going to become a stone carver. And one day maybe I'll return to it, but it's more of a summer activity. And it's like I mentioned, just very dusty. So yeah. One day I'll return back to it.
But even in each individual area, there are subcategories too. Like when I talked about like a little man, the caricature man, like it could flat plane, then you're dealing with knife only.
Yeah.
Or if other carving, you're dealing with a multitude of tools.
Yeah.
But with the same size carving, it's just a different style. So the styles, and I would love to pick a style and stick with it, but I can't. I just can't. I go back and forth because if I could be anything, I would be a straight flat plane carver. But I like regular eyes too.
Yeah.
And I have not figured out the perfect technique for knife only eyes that I really like. So that's when I like to get out the gouges and make the eyes. So, but hey, life's a journey. Why not try stuff, I guess?
True. Yeah. He also asks if we have any difficult areas. We've had this question before, but he's just wondering how we try to face difficult parts or features that we're trying to master. For him, it's carving eyes.
Yeah, that's probably him and everybody else. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Eyes are always a struggle, but I think we just talked about this in the last 2 episodes or so. Yeah. But I said I kind of really honed my eyes. Not that I haven't achieved or arrived anywhere, but I've gotten better by doing bigger projects. I think I mentioned that the bigger projects let you really dial in the eyes, and that's easier to take it smaller. Right.
So for me, it's still getting the depths. Yeah, it's still just getting
that's right.
It's still getting the. I mean, I still look at carving sometimes and go, yeah. I mean, I didn't quite take the time I should have to get the eyebrow separated from the face, or there's just little things. It's like knowing when to say enough, and then you don't want to go too quick. You don't want to ship it too early. So yeah, I mean, there's just a fine line. You want to be proud of your work, so sometimes it takes longer than you want it to. But
I have carvings here that I did 3 weeks ago that I want to redo already.
Yeah,
just for subtle little things that I've picked up or learned from somebody else, and like, oh, now that's all I see when I look at that carving. And like I said, only 3 weeks or a month ago.
Yeah,
not that long. It's just a little subtle little change, or the bag sucked in a little more, like just little things. But yeah.
No, and that's why when people ask what my favorite carving is that I've done, I always say it's yet to be, because I haven't made anything that's my favorite yet. So the Z conversation was addressed here by Edgar Brown. He says the term Z is used so that the letter in the alphabet is not confused with the third letter, C.
Yes. And I was right. I was convicted on that we say Z until I sang it.
Really?
W, X, Y, and Z. That's how you sing it. You don't say W, X, Y, Z.
Right.
It doesn't. There's something. But I knew I said Z.
Yeah.
But then when I sang it, I was like, oh, I guess we do say it like that. So yes, thank you.
Yeah. So
I'm validated.
Yep, we don't use it in the States. However, it's popular in other countries. So
it's the proper English way, the British and Canadians.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
The people who know how to speak proper.
Yeah. Stan has a nice message for us about what he learned. The Flexcut tool exchanger. Anyway, it just says we make a great team, and thanks to us both. So that's a nice little comment.
Thanks, Stan. Stan is he's been around for a while. I like Stan. Stan's a good fella. Now that Flexcut exchanger, I'm still sitting on that video.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I have to. Maybe I'm gonna put some little addendums in it. I think I'm gonna refilm and add some little bits in it, because I watched it. I liked the video, but I just there was something that didn't sit right, and I think it was the fact that I hadn't used it yet. And I'm talking about, like, nobody likes a box opening,
right?
So I think I'm going to now that I've used it for a couple weeks, I think I'm going to just add to it and show my actual thoughts on the carving process.
Oh, yeah, no, that's
we're
true.
using it.
Yeah, that's true. I'm
But
always
I did.
there's an
Go ahead.
unboxing video and there's no like, and how is it? You want the review?
Yeah, but now I've added a roll, tool roll for it.
Hmm.
So you can see for the listeners, it's the pouch that I bought. Flexcut makes it. I wasn't going to buy one. I was going to make one, but then it was so cheap. I just had to buy it because it wasn't worth making. But even my big handle, of course, I made it my own.
Yep.
I sanded all the planes. I made it faceted planes on it, and took all the varnish off it and oiled it. So now it's mine.
Nice.
So I always have to make things mine. So I'm using it. I'm actually, when I'm doing the basket carvings, this is what I'm using, and I haven't found a problem with it.
Right.
No.
So someone has a question for you, Doug, and it's about one of your videos. So I don't know. I don't know. Doug doesn't like
This is you're creeping in the back door here.
I don't know.
This
It's
is the
about
Doug and Alex show. Go ahead.
yeah. They're
We'll
just
let
asking,
them pass this time.
yeah, they're asking about the leprechaun bark carving. If they use a different style, if you use a different style of knife for the eyes.
Oh, you know the answer to this. I think you just want to get praised again.
I did.
This is that Skew knife that if we could buy 1,000 of them, we would definitely buy them and resell them, because this is one that I was coveting from Alec.
Yep.
And he happened upon one and found it. This story, I've said this story so many times now.
Yeah. Yeah.
He found one in an old stock in a store, and him and another subscriber viewer bought it for me and sent it to me. So I was very appreciative. Yeah. I think it's the last time I'm going to publicly thank them for this, but I love it. I love it. But there's a few variations. Like they still make one that's similar, but not as good. Mm-hmm. Not as good as this one. I love this one. This is it. So yeah, sorry to say it's they don't make it anymore. So maybe if you lobby them, they'll bring it back. Yeah. Because a lot of people would buy it, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's so sweet. So that's that. Oh wait, so there's a second question. And what type of applications do you use it for? Okay, so if there's other applications, I think that's what he's wondering.
Why don't you take that? You take that one.
Yeah, I'll take it. I use it a lot for scooping too. Like I'll something about the shape of it. It allows your hand to stay away. Well, I know why. It's because it's angled, so it's a skewed knife blade. So if y'all were using a straight blade, my knuckles would be right in line with that blade, and I couldn't as easily get in there. If I'm doing a relief carving, because my hand would bump up against the mount or the table or whatever it's backed against. But because it's a skewed knife, I can use my hand and I can scoop and I can articulate it and do things like, dance around the wood without having to worry about busting my knuckles.
On your school videos, you use that thing like a knife all the time too. Like it's a pretty handy tool to have.
It is. Yeah. It's fantastic. So that concludes this portion of the day. And
there's our copyright right there.
I wrote that, so there's no issue at all.
Okay.
I call it Jake's bird. And anyway, so that being said, I want to introduce the media hour. It's the time of the day or week where we talk about what we've been listening to, what we've been taking in, maybe what we've been watching, reading. Yeah. So what do we got, Doge?
Well, I am very excited, and this is what I alluded to earlier with my little man again. I got on a kick with my one. Okay, when I think of my carving people I look to who got me carving.
Yeah.
Gene Messer, always on top. Gene Messer.
Yep.
Second, Harley Refsall.
Yeah.
I love Harley Refsall. He's like the flat plane man. He's written books. He teaches. He's great. But anyway, I was given Blake and Tom sent me a link to a new video of Harley Refsall, and it's half an hour, and it's just him talking, explaining. It's fantastic.
Huh.
What a likable guy. But that is on the YouTube channel Postcards. It's Pioneer PBS Postcards, and it's Harley Refsall. Refsall, Refsal. It's a little half-hour documentary storytelling, just about the craft, and it's really good, really good. And like I said, Harley, of course, you always enjoy things when you love the subject, and he's right up there. And I love his work and his simple approach in teaching. So, yep, that's what I got.
He's so good. Well, I'm going to talk about my featured artist. He's a chainsaw carver. Speaking of things that you don't want to do but admire, same thing with me. I would love to be a chainsaw carver in a different life, but I dig his work a lot. His name is Michael Jones, and I've been following. I don't know where I heard about him, but I have always really liked I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, he's a younger dude, and he does some incredible, like we're talking full scale giraffe here, and baby giraffe out of a single log, and he paints the whole thing, and it's awesome.
Wow, that's really good.
Oh, it's crazy. I mean, I don't understand how he does it, and he's really good at carving dogs, believe it or not, despite his handle. Man and his dog carvings is his handle, but he does a really good job with his dog. So anyway, we're checking out. Yeah, he's I'm pretty sure he can't be any older than, I don't know, 40 or 35 or something, and he's just super good, and I'm pretty sure it's his full-time job. So yeah, this is him. I think this is him. Young guy. Anyway, for those listening, sorry, he's a young dude on the shorter dude here.
Well, that's Michael Jones. Where are you catching him?
Yeah, this is on Instagram, and it's Man and His Dog Carvings. So singular dog. Man and His Dog Carvings. Nice.
Now, tell me, how is your dog carving ability?
I'm trying to think if I've ever carved. I did one dog, and it was a struggle, but I was lucky because I had a real live model pose for me. He was really well behaved. Even when the power tools are on, he got used to me. It took him a while, but we actually had to train this dog to come near me with the power tool. So the owner of the home was carving in her tree in the backyard. She'd bring the dog around while I was doing other things, auxiliary parts of the tree, because there were other elements. And at first, she would run away, but then after a while, she'd just kind of get bored and lay down nearby. And finally, she sat right next to me under a tree limb, and I was able to use her as a reference. She sat there for hours. I mean, at least 2 hours. So
my Finnegan is the most obedient dog. He's the best buddy dog I've ever had in my entire life. He's always glued to my side. When I pick up my chainsaw, he is an instant rebellion and will not do anything I say. He cannot be near that chainsaw. We go to the bush. He's all excited. We're going for a walk in the bush. And then I grab my chainsaw, and he will not leave the truck. He'll sit right beside the truck when I go into the bush. Or if I trick him and I start the chainsaw when we're in the bush, he'll run right back to the truck and sit at the truck. He doesn't want anything to do with the tools. So,
have you tried an electric chainsaw? Well, you wouldn't a battery one.
I have an electric and a battery one, but I don't need him to be with me in the workshop.
Yeah, right.
But when I go in the bush, he's just like, he won't. I'll yell and holler and scream, and no way, nope, not coming near you, near you. So it might hurt his ears, to be honest. But yeah, that's his. Yeah, so that's how we're going to close episode 26.
This one we'll call it Doug's Dog's Ears Hurt. Episode 26.
There you go. They'll have to listen to the whole thing to find why we titled it that.
That's right.
So there you go.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us for this hour, and we'll be sure to be back next week with maybe a treat, maybe not. Never know. Could be a surprise.
Or a good girl, you'll get a treat.
Maybe so. All right, guys. See you next week.
You're a great boy and girl. Don't worry. I've already approved of you. So take your vitamins.